Hi everybody, welcome back to Sand Sons Aquatics. Today we have a little bit of a unique episode. Going to become part of, hopefully, a weekly series called Friday Facts with Josh. They most likely will not be posted on a Friday, but we're just going to have to deal with that one. Today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite animals, the tapir. Probably not pronouncing that right, but I don't really care. So alright, let's jump right into it. So the tapir belongs to the family Tapiridae in the genus Tapirs. So if you're familiar with those genuses, you'll know what we're getting into here. And the tapir is a mammal similar in size to the pig that comes from primarily South America, with some species reaching up in that Central American region. And then one species, the Malaysian tapir, is actually native to Southeast Asia, so he's kind of an outlier within the pack. There are 4 species in total. And one of the interesting things you may have noticed is these guys' funky noses, where their upper lip and nose combines to become sort of a trunk like an elephant, which is primarily used for snorkeling, so they can traverse water easily. And the other use is, of course, smelling all the odors of the jungle, which is very important. Now, one thing that's interesting about the tapir is this nose. It's actually one of the few mammals with a prehensile snout. Now, if you don't know what the word prehensile means, don't worry. It basically just means something in organ that can grab onto something. It's fairly common in monkeys because their tails need to be prehensile in order to swing through the trees. Now, tapirs are semi-social animals. Most of the time they are alone, but they have been observed grazing together, and of course they do come together for breeding, of course. And during these social outings, they used high-pitched squeaks to communicate with each other. And for nonverbal communication, they use pheromones in their urine and poop to mark out territories and signify when they are ready to mate. And these pheromones are especially important because tapirs have horrible eyesight, so they rely heavily on those pheromones to collect information on their environment. Alright, so let's talk about tapir reproduction. Tapir mating is non-seasonal, which means it doesn't take place during a certain time period. And to seek out the mate, the male will hunt down a female based on pheromones found in her urine or genital secretions. That's fun. And to do this, he'll use what's known as a Fleming response, which is where he'll push his upper lip, curl it up, and push it flat against where his nose is. And that just gives a wider surface area to take in all those lovely smells. And once they find a mate and everything's all said and done, you can expect to see a baby within the next 13 months, which is quite a long time, which also affects their endangered status because they can't reproduce very quickly. And when that time comes to give birth, the female will give birth standing up, and the baby will be standing in just a few hours after he is licked clean by his mother. Now, most infants are about 14 to 25 pounds at birth, and babies are born with white stripes which dissipate after about 5 months. The early days of the newborn are spent sheltered while the mother goes and hunts to provide food for the baby. And after 10 to 11 months, the mother will abandon the baby, and the baby will continue on as a full-grown tapir and hopefully continue the reproduction cycle many times in their lifetime. And they reach sexual maturity around 2 to 3 years old, which is pretty young, and they spend the rest of their life doing their thing. Alright, now we gotta get to the fun part, poop. If you know me, you know I love a good animal poop. Now, tapirs have earned the nickname the gardener of the jungle, and I'll tell you why. Tapirs really like to poop in water. Now, why do they do that? They do that so that their poop doesn't give away their location, because poop is really smelly. And what's in that poop? Seeds are in that poop because tapirs are primarily herbivores, eating lots of fruits which have seeds. Now those seeds will flow down the river and get embedded in the bank somewhere and eventually germinate into seeds. Now you might be thinking, how do these seeds hatch after going through the digestive system of a tapir? Well, this is pretty interesting. Seeds have a real hard outer shell to protect from all the elements, and that shell actually gets worn down in the stomach of the tapir, which makes it easier for the seed to sprout. So tapirs are doing a huge job for the jungle, spreading seeds as far as the eye can see. Now, one thing that's really interesting is after the jungle is burned, let's say in a fire, tapirs have been observed to poop more often in that burned area. So they know their poop will grow plants. Well, has seeds in it and will eventually grow plants. So they'll purposely poop in the burned areas of the jungle. Now, you might be thinking, how does a seed grow in a pile of poop? Well, manure is often used as fertilization for your backyard plants, and it's the same here in the jungle. The fertilization actually increases the chance that a seed will germinate, giving it all the necessary nutrients it has for survival. Tapirs, well, I already covered that part. Well, I guess that's all we have today on tapirs. Super interesting animal, one of my favorites. They're so unique, super funky looking, and that's it for the tapirs. Before you go, quick update on all the fish stuff. The cichlids and the 125, they're growing well. Babies down there producing, well, not the babies are producing, but the adults are producing more babies than ever. And we got a few pairs of shell dwellers down here, which should be breeding pretty soon. Also, got a new aquarium stand up behind me, so we should be able to get those tanks up and running in the next few weeks here. And the pond is going great. So with that, I'll say Sam and Sons signing out. Off.